The name's Demetrius Dixon, and long time no post. This is actually my second attempt of recording this video because I am in a way better mood. The reason is I actually got the relay server done, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I wanted to post this video because I was doing vocal practice in order to have a bigger YouTube presence with more videos. I was gonna make some shorts, however, as I recorded, I noticed I haven't even updated the Monkanics YouTube on the current game's progress, so I'm gonna catch you guys up to speed. Let's start from the beginning. About 48 days ago, I finished and released version 0.1 of Monkanics for private playtesting. It was supposed to be the first playable version, but instead, I got this. This is the gray screen of death, as I've dubbed it. It's actually the Godot engine's default screen when nothing is loaded into existence. This meant my netcode didn't work, my player didn't load, and the Zulak map I made a whole video on didn't even exist. This, to put it lightly, was a real bummer. I spent a literal year on version 0.1, and I got hit with the reality that I just never worked. It really caused me to spiral hard mentally because of my high expectations. Continuing with the story, I had to track down why this happened. My friends on the Monkanics Discord helped me narrow it down to the netcode. You see, the setup I had was there was a server file and a client file. When I open up the server file, it starts the server on my IP address. Then when the client opens their file, it starts a client instance that tries to connect to the server, which is on my IP, which I mentioned earlier. There was no menu or sequencing or anything. It was just hard-coded to try once when booted. The problem wasn't the crappy hardcode. It was the fact that there's a really big fundamental problem with connecting to other routers directly. I'm no networking expert, but it's due to the router's firewall. And also it's NAT, which stands for Network Access Translation. By default, outside connections are blocked on most residential routers for security, meaning the client couldn't connect to the server I made, and I couldn't connect to their router. With no connection, the player scene didn't spawn. With no player means no camera. No camera means you have nothing to see but the gray screen of death. Now, to get through the client's firewall, I had a few options. However, each one has its own set of extremely prevalent pros and cons that make netcode development a headache. This is what I've been trying to figure out for the past month, getting two separate devices to connect to each other and send packets back and forth. The solution I chose was a relay server. With that failure in my back pocket, I had to start the netcode from scratch in order to get something working. So I moved on from Monkanics version 0.1, and I'm now developing Monkanics version 0.1.1, which I hope to Christ will be the first real playable version of Monkanics. In version 0.1.1, I plan to set the proper backend for Monkanics to actually work, meaning I'm setting up a relay server on a cloud VM that the client can connect to and bypass their router firewall. After that, I'm going to rewrite the front end, aka gameplay netcode, to be cleaner and better. Then I'll find a game distribution platform and set up a means to update the game. As I've noticed during private testing, downloading the same file over and over again is really annoying, obviously. It adds too much friction. So I want to keep everything contained within one file, plus the pack and the save data, in one place. This will most likely be via itch.io, but there's a small chance I could roll my own solution. Again, small chance, because I have to go through a learning curve, and then when I get through the learning curve, it could take me like a month or so. And fourth and finally, people can play the original minimal version of Monkanics on the Zulog. As for my progress, I am no longer in hell. In my first recording, I said I am currently in hell, but that is now outdated. I set up a relay server for Monkanics on my DigitalOcean droplet, and it actually freaking works. But let me tell you, this is one of the steepest learning curves I have ever dealt with. First, I had to pick a platform because most cloud providers don't have a good GUI. I tried Oracle, but their UI sucks. It's just menu after menu after sub-menu after sub-menu. I chose DigitalOcean because it has a really good GUI, and it just does everything I needed to do. And then I had to get the UDP server, another lower-level multiplayer node in Godot, set up properly with the packet peer UDP node. Wait, no, it's not a node, it's a class. But I only learned all this after literally reverse engineering the GD Sync add-on from its GitHub. You know why? Because there's no tutorials at all for these nodes. Actually, that part is also outdated. Someone actually released a tutorial, which is why I was able to get this relay server done. But back to that later. And then I had to export the relay server file correctly for Linux Ubuntu, which I've never used in my life. I am a pleb Windows user. And then I had to learn how to transfer the files between my PC and the cloud VM for a program called FileZilla, which honestly is a pretty good program. All you do is enter your IP address, the server password, or the SSH key if you have one, and then just simply simply transfer the files. It has a really good GUI. And then I have to figure out how to actually execute the file on the Linux server, which means I have to use a command line that has access to a library called OpenSSH. I'm not going to even try to explain that, by the way. Now, DigitalOcean recommended I use a program called Putty. Don't ever use Putty. Please. It has the worst user interface I've ever seen in my life because it's from the 1990s. It has the worst documentation with no examples or even a single image. And I can't do the stupid SSH key generator thing because some file type incompatibility, and it has no simple solution online, and every reference to it is a complete mess. But luckily, I found another program called Termius that does what I need it to do, and with an actual modern GUI. The thing in question was connecting to the Linux server via SSH and accessing the command line called bash. And for the final step, I had to do a specific step of commands in order to get the relay server executed. Which, first of all, I hate command lines, even though I'm more comfortable now that I learned it, but I have to do all of this crap to open one file. One. Luckily, and I mean I really wouldn't have figured this out without it, someone on the Godot forum named, sorry if I butchered your name, Ezsha, released a guide on multiplayer, which just so happened to contain the bash commands I needed to allow the relay server to be executable. Literally, I could not find a clear answer online. Listen, I had to take extensive notes for a month to learn all this, and I have been through the ringer, okay? My rage is justified and I needed to vent. But I'm glad I got through this month-and-a-half long hellscape. Anyways, with the relay server working, I can now send packets between players without worry of a firewall and continue Monkanics' development. However, I have some more good important updates. The Monkanics Discord is super active now. We have many Godot forum goblins like myself chatting it up. But I'd like to invite you to join. Yes, you, the viewer. We have new channels for chatting about anything, memeing, new emails, new game biz channels, and more. It's the perfect time to join the emerging Monkanics community. And while I'm talking about it, I cannot believe I grew a community with the failure of 0.1. Most of them are my friends, sure, but they've all truly helped me and are sticking around. If those people are watching this video, and they likely are, I cannot thank you enough. Not only for Monkanics, but also helping me fill the void of lifelong loneliness in my heart. That's a bit personal, I know, but it really means a lot to me. This whole video has proven a point that you should share what you're working on. No matter how bad or unfinished or unpolished or imperfect it is, release your project. One more thing, I want to release more videos and shorts to this channel. In fact, I want this to be the main source of Monkanics' development updates. I'm doing this because I want to use my voice more, and this is my preferred form of dev blogging. I've also recently been employed at a new job for the past 3 weeks, and I've solidified my Monkanics work schedule. So I'm gonna make enough money to get myself a nice haircut, and also bootstrap Monkanics' funding. The specifics of that funding I'll get into much later. Now, I plan for long form videos to be like this one you're watching, scripted, edited more, and detailed. However, the shorts will be much more low effort. They're just gonna be dumps of my thoughts and experiences that I can put out whenever. This will go along with text posts and much further down the line, streaming. Now, I actually can't stream normal development of the game. I work with sensitive network information like IP addresses, and also streaming game development is really distracting and stressful. But I can stream other things, like when Monkanics is playable, I can stream the playtest. Or if there's another game that you want me to play, I can just go ahead and play that. You know, I just want to keep my options open. Last thing, I want to thank everyone who's watched this far. I truly appreciate every single one of you, and I never take any of this for granted. Not one moment. Make sure to like, subscribe, and join the Discord. I'll see you in another video.